Great on a scale.
Oh, I don't know. Jen, what, on a scale of 1 to 10, how is this?
Oh, this is fantastic. 10.
I say fantastic, sounds like a 9 or 10.
Great. She remembers everything like right away. So yeah, she's wonderful.
Awesome. Good. Yeah, Jane was just saying, please re-showing us there.
Yeah, cool.
Everything I see is very positive.
So I came in, I said, yeah, I love going through non-fiction. It's in that, you can see all the related, it's really close to it.
Yeah.
So you've got it on your phone, right? I'm like, yeah. Well, just use your phone. I said, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So we're sitting here having an argument in the middle of non-fiction. This is my thought. It's very fun.
All right, should we call this meeting to order at 6:01?
Yes, we shall.
All right, so the agenda says October minutes, but minutes that we need to approve.
Did we recorded?
Yes. Yep.
I'll put a motion forward to accept and approve the November minutes as presented.
A second.
Favor?
If you have discussion, I do have a point. So my name was listed, it kind of looks like I'm a trustee, the way it's written. So I don't know if that might be, like, I don't know, like, so I just wanted to put that forward.
I'll make sure it's distinguished
Yeah.
between the trustees and the other representative. Representative.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it might, just so it doesn't touch.
Sure. That's a good point.
Then I'll present a motion to accept the minutes with one amendment.
I second. All in favor?
All right, we do not have a friend representative here.
No, so
Me, yeah.
Sabrina mentioned that to me, that she was gonna try, but something came up. So I don't know that they had too much to say.
No, I mean, we talked a little bit about, the, gift. DIY gift.
Oh, yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
We had such a great turnout.
Yeah,
So many people were really appreciative. Adults joined in.
awesome. Yeah, you said there was, I can't remember how many she said there were.
We guesstimated like 30 because we kind of lost track after a while, but there had to have been at least 30 people there,
Oh, that's awesome.
including adults. But it was very well received. It always is, but it was very well received. The parents really appreciated the kids, and, they would go off and hide while the kids put their little gifts in the bags, it was very cute.
And then I think the other thing is, they say that, 440 has been collected for the, Paul Perlman. Tree, obviously, butterfly outside and the interiors. And I think what will happen is if, I don't know what the cost is gonna be on those. And I just mentioned in there that something like this, if we do a, just sort of simple, I don't know, call it necessarily a ceremony, whatever.
Yeah, I think it should.
Probably be spring at this point. If there's any money that's remaining from it, there was a suggestion to potentially do some books in the children's room with her name, specifically like science, nature, butterflies, that sort of thing. So, that would, but I don't know what the cost would be. Sure, once I know the cost, then go from there. I'm trying to think what else was talked about. Oh, I'm not sure. They had some things coming up, I think, some ideas for programs and that kind of thing. I guess they did really well with the Dairy Queen event.
Yeah, Katrina had said they did pretty well.
Yeah, 300 some odd.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. Sorry.
I was just gonna be really geeky. We can actually get caterpillars,
Oh, yeah.
and then have them go to chrysalis and close, and if we do the timing right of when we do the little memorial, we can actually have butterflies.
That would be great.
Now, it's not foolproof.
Right.
But they're from here in Massachusetts, so it's just
Yeah.
up in Westford. but it's definitely a fluid option and it's really not that expensive.
That would be so cool.
Gret's, we've done it a bunch of times because we're geeks. So, we can get you the specifics.
Awesome, that'd be great.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Awesome. I don't remember anything else offhand. Fortunately, I don't have the minutes.
Okay. Director's report.
Okay. Things are good. We're kind of winding down here because next week, I'll be here and Chris will be here on Monday, but then we're closed Tuesday and Wednesday. I'll be away Thursday, Friday. Everything's covered. But then the next week after that, see, New Year's Eve is 10 to 2, and then we're closed on New Year's Eve. And power's off for a little bit now. Other folks are off here or there. But things keep going. So we have senior abatement workers are doing very well. And still have hours to give, which is good. Volunteers have been excellent. Sarah Burkhardt actually was just in Wednesday. She's retired, recently retired. And we were having a little bit of a backup of things being processed upstairs. But she went in 2 hours through how many books as far as processing and getting them ready on that. So once Chris showed her, she was a book study on that. So that's been really good. All of the experiences with our volunteers and senior abatement folks have been good. It's been nice because the time is always limited. Not always. There's never enough time to get things done. So if we have more hands, it's been good. It's kind of the first year we've really really embraced sort of bringing in more volunteers. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's just that people were having interest. It all kind of started with the senior abatement program and then her saying that she had 2 people that she could offer us. And, so it's been good though. It's been really good. I'm tracking hours. Usually want those for the reports at the end of the year. I know some of them are tracking because I think Izzy's is for NHS, correct? Yeah, I don't remember how many she needs, but
I don't know.
and once those are up, if she would just like to continue, that would be fun too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay. So yeah, that's all been great. Let's see. December, all of the shifts have been covered for December. I have to get January's calendar out there for everybody. I don't have anything on the horizon for January that looks like it's going to be problematic for coverage. All right, there. Let's see. We had to move the staff get together to January 10th. Everybody's schedules didn't quite align with when we wanted to do it, but then it turned out that the town is doing their staff get together tomorrow night at Galliford's. And so
Yeah,
that was what we originally did.
staff and volunteers and
Yep.
so all of you were invited and anyone.
Unfortunately, I'm not able to.
I'm supposed to RSVP.
It's okay, there's room, there's. Okay. Well, but any of you, you were invited, please bring families. I know that they have sort of signed up for more people than have actually said they're coming, so
Oh, I thought I did.
it's okay, you can bring.
Yeah, sorry to touch the tree.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, it's actually, it's open to the town. But like, really, the intention is to include all of the volunteers who put in so much time for the town, like board and committee members, as well as, employees. So just an opportunity for all of us.
I just heard about it right now.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't our, it wasn't,
Doesn't mean that we
it wasn't our email. It wasn't one of your 7 email addresses.
I forwarded it to people. I never know.
Yeah,
Like
okay,
you've
yeah.
possibly got twice, no.
Yeah, it's
I don't
from
think
5
those
to
are
9 at Galliford's, and, so, it's a long window. I'm not gonna be able to be there the whole window, because
Yeah,
I accidentally double booked. So like, I'm not the one who scheduled it, so, yeah, but, yeah. I hope that at least some of you can be there, and please do bring, families and others, et cetera. Neighbors, friends, I mean, it's, there should be like a lot of food to go around. So, and it was really nice last year.
I was gonna say, I didn't go
Yeah.
last year, but 2 years, a couple years ago, we went, it was good.
Yeah.
I don't know. When I'd be-
Let's see, facilities, the track lights have been swapped out in the children's room, that's all set. He actually, there were, 2 bulbs in the periodicals area, there's a fixture up there. I thought was a problem when bulbs were going up, but it turns out it's the ballast that houses the bulbs. And so, Joe, Bianchi, it's Bianchi. He's the one who's done a lot of jobs for, Dan and Parks Department. He said he'd take a look for a ballast, and it sounds like he's gonna come in tomorrow morning, He actually has that, and so they'll swap that, out, and hopefully that'll be back and working. I haven't received an invoice from him yet, but then he told me the address he sent it to, and I said, that's an address to nowhere. So I assume that he's gonna send me the invoice for the first part of the work, which is for the track. And then he'll send me a separate invoice for the ballast and the periodicals area. Let's see. Bid deadline came and went. We had 7 to 10 bids for the asphalters. And the low bid that came in was from Harshaw, which is great because they're excellent. And I talked to John from Highway yesterday, and he reiterated the same thing, that they're really good and on top of things. And I actually felt that way throughout the whole process. They were one of the ones I reached out to early on, and they were responsive, got back to us.
They're the ones at Monica's, they live near Monica or something?
They're right on Blackstone Street.
Might be, yeah, I had talked to Asphalt Engineering and Harshaw, and I forget what the other one was. Braza,
Browser, yeah.
right, Braza, and who didn't really get back.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I-
And then there was one other, that I had heard things about and just didn't really reach out to them this last time when the bid was posted, because I hadn't heard good things. In any event, I'm very happy with this, the little bidder. The quote came in at, all the quotes came in the 70s, which is weird because all of the quotes I got initially were in the 60s.
Yeah,
And I don't know why they wouldn't have realized it was prevailing wage, because it seems to me that's what the discrepancy is. But that seems odd. If you work with the town, you should know it's prevailing wage, but that just might be me.
But maybe they don't do as many of the like municipal projects, and so there's is
Yeah,
residential or
yeah.
business.
So I was a little irked because, the cap was really like 70, so we're about 6,800 over. And I talked to Jeremy, but I said, very good with that. But there was some leeway and some ARPA funds.
Yeah.
There
We
was some
voted,
flexibility.
yeah. Got it.
Yeah, okay. So, and then, so Jeremy and, Justin Harshaw went back and forth a little bit, but the contract is signed. Sent back to, Jeremy, it's before the December 31st deadline, you're good to go. So that's
and when
good.
do they anticipate on?
Sometime this spring,
Okay.
Jeremy said today that, when you start to know what your spring schedule is, let Andrew know, and then you can start to plan out when that's gonna be. So, put us in there somewhere, and I'm gonna guess, it sounded to me when I talked to him, because I had 2 individuals at the site visit. One was from Asphalt Engineering, and Justin was there also. He seemed to think it was gonna be 7 to 10 days. 10 days would be maximum.
That we would have to be closed.
Yeah, that we have to, well, But in terms of our schedule, probably 5 days, 5 or 6 days closed. Just depends. So we'll figure out when that's will work and we can talk about that too. That's a little ways off at this point.
Yeah, I know you kind of you're at the mercy of their schedule
Right.
as a contractor. You don't really have a choice. They, you gotta take what they're gonna give you,
Right.
but at the same time, you have to think about your typical schedule
Mhm.
around that time of the year, because that's when it starts to get busy again.
Right.
Um,
I mean, my preference would be for like April or May, if they could do it. June's a little close to the,
so maybe you reach out to them and just say,
yeah,
we'll be as flexible as we can, but our preference is earlier in the spring, the better, just from our schedule.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Where we're gonna have to be closed for a short period of time, we wanna be able to. And we wanna be able to give people plenty of notice that we will be closed.
right. Well, I also have to, notify, CWMRs as well,
Right,
because of deliveries and that.
Yeah.
Nobody can come in around at that point.
right.
All of those things I have to sync up. Yeah. I mean,
It can't hurt to reach out to them and just say, this is what we're up
Yeah.
against. We've really, if at all possible, you could do April
Does anybody know
or very early May.
when they start again, like, so the, start in March?
Commercial
I
paving will go year
think
round.
It depends on the weather, it really,
And when they can get the asphalt, as long as they have a short distance from where the asphalt maker is to where it is, they can go year round, but March is very possible.
Okay.
But we've also seen Marches that have been colder than
Uh,
anything else, so, I would ask for
kind of,
March.
they could do it right now.
Yeah,
just-
I would ask for March and you'd likely, you got a good chance of getting it April or beginning of May. Hey,
Yeah.
I wish there was a better answer on that.
No,
So be proactive and reach out to them first, and then the worst they could do is say, no, we can't possibly fit you in until X, but at least you've made the effort to try to get that.
And they know the town's good for the money.
Yeah,
It's
it's all set.
it's already approved and.
Right, it's not like it's yeah,
Yeah, I think it's,
and he's a town guy, it's not like he's gonna,
yeah, I mean, John knows, sounds like he knows it pretty well, so,
yeah.
yeah, that's. Yeah, I'd rather.
Just because
we
he's
get it
thinking
early.
about his schedule, but he's not really thinking about
Yeah,
what might be best for the library.
I mean, I think if you start to verge on late May or June.
Where, yeah,
bumping up
that's
too much
way,
close, too close to the summer.
Yeah.
So, okay. Let's see. Do their second fall cleanup, late November, second, pass was $299. Maintenance, I already mentioned what the Friends have collected for the memorial. Budget. Things are looking better because we spent like 13,000 on books in last month, which is pretty astounding. But that also included two of our larger expenditures, which are for Junior Library Guild, which is a year's payment plan or purchase plan for children's books, and also our magazine subscription fees for EBSCO, our yearly magazine subscription fees. So those themselves together totaled close to $10,000. And that's good because it puts us more in line with where we should be in terms of expenditures. For the whole month, we spent $30,648, 12,545 in salaries, 18,102 in operations. 39.5% of the total budget has been spent through the first 5 months of the year. Just shy of where we should be after November, which is 41.7, so not too far off. And as I said, the books and expenditure was up for the month. Programming was up for the month as well, 1,600 in programming, and building maintenance was a little under 2,000 for the month. And I'll talk a little bit more about the budget report and what lines I feel are sort of in good shape and where some expenses or where we need to be spending on some other lines. So let's see. So I'll be starting the budget process, or at least putting together a budget scenario in January. One of the things I have to start to think about or factor is the library director's salary. With that in mind, my contract, the 3-year contract, is up at the end of June. So I sent everybody a copy of the contract. I don't know who has the original, because I have a scan of it. It might be Ellen. I don't know, because it was put together by the trustees, or it could have been the chair at the time, which I think was Ellen.
Which I think was Ellen.
I mean, I can certainly reach out to her unless somebody wants to reach out to
Yeah,
her.
you signed the file too.
Oh, I think she may have sent us a copy of the files that we have.
At your house?
No, the electronic.
Oh, electronic file, I'm like, we're not aware.
I
It's not a file. It's like, no.
Stay back to my email. I did not see, I tried to match it up with what I have as the final signed contract, and I don't have that, which is.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
So I might just
Also,
have a print copy that I can receive.
Whoever drives personnel action within the town would be the one who would have to have if not the original.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, true.
So Jen should have her copy.
I know that the last time the contract came up, the question had been about whether or not it was between the town and the director and the trustees. And my understanding at this point, based on the contract itself, is that it was between the trustees and the director. But then I believe it has to go to the town just as a final sort of.
Sure. That seems like a Jeremy.
Yeah,
I
think too, yeah.
I feel like
Yeah,
we would have some answers.
Jeremy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean. He wasn't involved with it last time.
Right.
And the legalese at the top of it's pretty
yeah,
basic of you as the library director of the town, and then we as the trustees desire, and then if the two groups, you and then the trustees agree upon the following.
right.
So it's not, it's honestly just a way to get you through the personnel action requirements. to make sure
Right,
they're-
yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, you may want to connect with Ellen and sort of, I don't know, figure out where things or how it all played out last time. It's been a while, so I don't exactly. She may have more detail. I mean, if you want, I can certainly stop over there and talk to her. See if she's got a copy of that, or.
I'll
if you
look
want
and
to take
see.
it from there,
Yeah.
it's fine, too.
Look and see, I made a note, let me see if
Okay.
I can find it first.
Okay. You know, in the meantime, when typically when they're talking contracts with unions, and then when does that happen during the year?
I mean, with the unions, it was a long
Right.
process, so I mean, it was over.
I seem to recall that, I think the last time it was January, February, is it something?
Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, I might want to get that out there. Put that on the radar. Let's see. Programs, things going very well. Story times. I can't believe sometimes there's like 50, 60 kids up there in a given morning. Which of course makes you think it'd be nice if we had a nice meeting space separate of everything where you could house 50 people comfortably.
We're trying.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, but I mean, they're very successful. I mean, clearly the need is there, the people are coming. So, you know, once again, like the story times and play groups, the numbers are excellent. Some good numbers for other things too, like the Ellen Henry event. Once again, she brought in 48 people on that Saturday. Like people like Deb Hudgens and Puppeteer, Lee Balzer and that, they'll get 20 to, but in this case, that's 47 in November, which is almost unheard of. Not that she doesn't do well, but the 47 is a lot of people for the musical movement. So in any event, things are going well in that regard. There's definitely a demand for it. December events conclude this week, actually concluded with Science with Amanda today. I talked to Tara about the Santa story time and the cookies with Santa. I guess the Santa story time very well attended, and the Santa Zoom session, cookies with Santa. She said it was like the best one they've had.
Oh, cool.
And so Santa Claus, if you're listening, you did an excellent job. Yeah. And Dustin Parry was in this week, and I think there were over 20 for that event as well. So that was good. Next month, Greg Dwyer visits again. He was here in October for a mind reading and magic show, and he's doing something this time on New Year's resolutions. Sounds like it'll be interesting. Local author Michael Kugas will be back for a program on King Philip's War. He told me what the anniversary for that is. 450, I can't remember. But so that's this upcoming year is the anniversary of war, however many hundreds of years ago that was. And then Tara has 2 new play groups starting up with Beginning Bridges CFCE in January also. The Who-Fi calendar works like a charm. It's nice, it's straightforward, it's easy to see, you don't have to scroll things, it's very clear.
Yeah, it's definitely much.
Yeah, I think
much
just,
more user-friendly.
yeah, and she said that a lot of the patrons had really good feedback on it, that they say they like it a lot more, and it's just clear. Also, like I said, kudos to her because the transition was maybe, I mean, it was relatively seamless. There weren't a lot of hiccups, which was great. And there wasn't a lot of inputting that we had to do from the previous event keeper calendar. So far so good. Everything is working great on that. And you did a nice job getting it online. The projects ongoing, shelf reading I mentioned before. We're also doing some relabeling. I don't know if we'll ever be able to relabel every book in this place because we did a lot of handwriting over time. But when we get a chance, we try to do that upstairs and down. And it lends to the uniformity of the look of materials. It just looks a little more professional than handwritten stuff. But there's still plenty of that, and someday maybe we'll conquer it entirely. Town news, the earmark. I heard from the state, and the state affirmed the earmark. There was some paperwork I had to complete, and I have uploaded it to an online form. I'm only waiting on one form from the treasurer, which is really an electronic funds transfer form. Once I have that and I can upload it, I can send that into them. Then they review our account, get the contract together, I sign the contract, and then the first 50% of the award will be released. That's as much as I know at this point. I think I talked to, oh my gosh, thank you, Tracy, over in the town hall, and she said she'd get the paperwork to me this week. So I'm hoping to have it off to them by Monday.
And total amounts, 25,000?
25,000, yeah, so, 12,500 will be the first installment. I suspect that will come through, provided everything goes smoothly, by like the middle of January at the latest, I would hope. Middle, third week, something like that. I mentioned I didn't know what we wanted to do about Rectory Working Group, because that's as much as I really have right now. I don't know if we had said that we were going to meet right after this or not. I did talk to Monica, yeah.
Either. I don't either.
Yeah. I talked to Monica, let her know sort of where things are at. I just told you, I knew Lee wasn't gonna be here for the meeting. I did just talk to Jane Lowell today, who is interested in coming back to.
Oh, great.
Which is great, yeah. And then she mentioned again, what are the funds? CPA funds. and to continue to think about those because could be valuable.
Sure.
So I just said I would put it out there.
Yeah.
Keep getting closer to 75 years on that.
I was just gonna say,
I
we're
know.
much closer, no.
Well, what, I'm trying to remember, was it 51?
No, I wanna say we were like, yeah, we were like 1 year.
Yeah, well, like a
I'm trying to
year,
remember.
a year or two.
It was really close.
So we're getting,
Yeah.
Andrew, may I add one
Yeah.
thing?
yeah, absolutely.
So for that as well, because in a good way, it's hornswoggle to support up for the capital improvement program within the town. We are a case study for that as well, because they used last year's budget and then the whole process to try to get folks on how do you plan out and use the funds smartly and actually project out costs and, do some of these things in a logical manner. Well, all that actually worked well, and ironically, because we had the free cash in hand and the special town meeting, we were able to clear off a whole bunch of stuff that were planned for the books using the funds that already existed. So with this new award,
Yeah.
this will be phase one of that larger capital improvement process. So the goal is that it'll go in the system, it'll be tracked, we'll be able to see kind of where things are moving and energize it from directly to the select board and the other folks who are moving things around to understand how this is progressing. So there'll actually be instructions coming up to department heads probably next week or so
Okay,
on where this is being saved in SharePoint, how to use it and the process behind it. But the goal is to make it easier for us as trustees, different groups to also track where the funds move and then also be able to project what we might need 2, 3, 4, or 5 years down the road. So,
okay.
thanks. That was today at 2:30. We were talking about that earlier. That was that one.
And so we had an all-staff meeting, yesterday. And just a couple of things, I don't know if I mentioned, but, town, departments are going to bi-weekly payroll. It was previously weekly, so, account for that. That starts, I believe, the 30th, the week of the 30th. Or the very last week of the month into the new year. Everybody, all the staff know about it, so there's no surprises at this point. So that was talked about some. Budget meetings will start, I think he said mid to late January. That,
Yeah, he's promised us a calendar for the January 15th select board meeting, so.
okay.
Yeah, so yeah, we don't know exactly what,
Yeah, I think initially it said late January, early February.
so, yeah, we'll know more.
And then of course things like annual report coming up, which and
Yeah, I.
typically the middle of the month deadline for that. And then there was a benefits program that was discussed about,
The 27th then?
full-time employees, supplemental program. So those are the bits and pieces from
Right, yeah.
all town, all staff meeting. We did receive our first installment of the state aid award for the year. 8,369. It's actually up from years previous. It seems to go up every year by about 1,000. We will be receiving a second installment, late April, early May, probably in the same neighborhood, 8,000 or so. So that is coming. Legislative breakfasts are happening now. They have so many of them that I wasn't able to. I was sick for the one that was in Hopkinton, but I'll be attending Clinton. When is that? In February. But there's one at Leicester. There's one in Greenfield. They're all over the place. And those are always open to trustees and library personnel, directors, and it's a chance to meet with representatives and Congress people. Anyway, that's what I have for the director's report. Does anybody have any questions? In the budget report, I don't have a lot to add. The total budget where we should be at this point is about 41.7% spent through the budget, and we're at 39.5%. I have not crunched salary numbers yet, but this salary number that's at the top 177,100 is revised. That is to say, it now takes into account the COLA, the increased COLA for was approved at the town meeting. So I do need to crunch the numbers yet on that to see whether or not I can work another position out of that. It's a little less than I figured it would be, so I just need to look at it and determine whether or not, like I said, I won't look at another position unless we can get 8 hours for it. Because it doesn't make a lot of sense otherwise. Most of the areas expenditures are pretty straightforward. We're low on utilities and fuel. I'm surprised that we've only spent 10.7% of that figure, but every month so far has been low, but the winter months are coming. So, no. And supplies, I'm surprised that we're only about a quarter of the way through on supplies, but that's fine. We certainly have areas we can spend in that line and should be. Books, after this past month, it's almost 40%, which is great. It's much more in line with where we should be. I think that's about it. Does anybody have questions about the budget? That's shown. That's all I have.
Thanks. Library policies.
All right. I sent you the emergency policy. I did go through it in its entirety. It wasn't as painful as James thinks it might have been. So some of it, I don't know how you want to do this. I don't know if you want to start to go through page by page, if you want to meet at another time to talk it through, James, or whether or not we want to just start to.
Because it is a comprehensive document, I recognize if we sat here and went paragraph by paragraph, we would be here till tomorrow. And I don't want to do that to anybody. Maybe I am happy to, pause for ease. If folks had edits and changes, I am happy to receive all of them either electronically or even handwritten on the document. And then I can compile all those, make those corrections, and then come and have a separate sit down with Andrew with those corrections to say, okay, here's where we sit now. Obviously, it'll take into account yours as well.
Right. Yeah, anything that I did was in red. I think there's a section maybe in blue because maybe it didn't. Oh, I know. The sections that I highlighted in blue were because we don't have, like, for example, automated electromagnetic locks.
Yep. So not applicable on that.
Right, exactly.
But I think that may be the easiest path.
Right.
It's mostly just not to. I'm not saying it's a waste to go through it because it's not. I do ask that all of you take the time to read through it. You're going to have some hard topics in there as you go through it. Some things are not easy things to talk about, read, and understand that we need to train to. We should be training to. But that all being said, this is kind of a good place to start, right? And to kind of frankly, to get the library to be the example for the rest of the town on what all town buildings and all groups need to have to make sure that they're prepared in case something like this happens.
Yeah, as important to me as the training, like we just have not had.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then obviously ways in which we might need to be equipped that we're not currently, so.
So I've been having back and forth with Chief Bangman, Fire Chief, already on ideas, things we want to do. And Lenny and I, one of the lieutenants there, we've been connecting. So the goal is, yes, training on basic stuff, equipment. And the equipment one may be also whose budget is it smarter to use from at what time?
Right.
Because it may be smarter for us to build it into our budget because there is recurring costs on certain things. And we don't always just want to be tapping fire department to say, hey, give us more first aid kits or something like that.
Right.
But that's, again, cool part about the process is we can build that out this year and then recognize maybe every 2 years or every 4 years, here's what that cost would be.
One of the things I think of in here is, talking about like a loudspeaker system. We don't have that. Is that something we need to look into? Do we need to look into panic buttons? We don't have panic buttons.
Sure. Yeah.
Those sorts.
Yep, and that actually also can come from when we start doing the training with staff.
Yeah.
Because the staff are also gonna have a different perspective on it, because they're in here all the time.
Yeah.
They're dealing with the things already. So they may say, well, this isn't an issue because here's what we already do, or this is an issue because we can't do this. That data, which is what makes this a living document, comes immediately back into the document. We adapt, we change, and then, that helps keep it current, keep it smart. So, my ask then, I guess, to the board is take some time. Feel free to pen at it if you want to. If you want to do it in the computer, whatever you prefer, you can email it to me, just use the town email. And then I will compile it all. And I will work to get the compiled document available for our next meeting. So if we could do this that's gonna be hard across the holidays. So maybe, depends how close our meeting's gonna be to the holidays. That's gonna be the bigger question. But maybe we can shoot for like that second, third week of January to review during that time, and I can compile.
Might be this, just to let everybody know, the 9th is, the book club I run here, so, I mean, that
Sure.
be at 7:00, so I don't know if you want to move it to the next week, which gives a little bit more time.
Sure.
But that's up to.
Okay, great, thank you. And trust me, no hard feelings on this. I know there's errors, and this is based off of many different instructions for everything from like the size of a Boston library down to us. So there's gonna be certain things in there that are just not applicable. That's okay. I wanted to make sure we have it.
No, this is a good. first
Yeah, it's
step.
definitely.
It's not something we have. So this is great.
You got a geek. Let me rephrase it. We had a geek who's done weird jobs.
All right, that's the only policy one we have.
Right, yeah, all the other ones have been, they're honest. Yeah, I mean, unless every so often I see some things on email where someone says, you could really look into the policy like this. At some point, if there's something that gets introduced, I'll let you all know. I don't have anything else at the moment other than this one to be working on this. Sure.
So we touched on the rectory group meeting. Did we decide to hold up on having that today?
I mean, unless, I don't know.
I mean, it's not like we have anything really to,
I don't know if there was
This-
anything.
I don't know.
Last time we discussed at some point, and maybe today's not the day, especially where we have a couple of people who are not potentially going to be here. But we had discussed going through before we go out to bid on, getting companies to give us a new plan.
Yeah.
Really just honing in on what exactly it is that we want,
Yeah.
because we talked about it, but it's been 6 months.
Yeah.
And I think it's evolved a little bit since then.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably one of the things we need to sit down and talk about, and again, I don't think today's the right day to do that necessarily, but maybe January is when we
Yeah, I
have,
agree.
when we have the funds, or at least
Right.
half the funds, we're real motivated then.
Yeah.
So,
And if.
Yeah, you have a working document on that as well, right?
Yeah, but I'm just pulling it up right now. What I can do is email out everyone that was within the rectory group, and everyone else to review it, which was kind of the, at least first shot notes that we had. So, yeah, I will get that out.
so then let's
shortly.
hold off, we'll get that note, and we'll plan on meeting in January and really kind of going into that so that we have a good not hard, but a good solid idea of what we want before we send it out to say who can, who's interested in trying to do this.
I mean, the weekly has to expend those, and the school doesn't, right? It's a little weird because they got back to us so late that they're giving us less time.
Well, the contract will say So the contracting, the KO for the state will state, you know, here's the required timelines for X and Y. I don't know. That's a great question, because that's kind of a, but it may also be you have to ensure the funds are allocated for X and Y, because it's also, you know, we're only getting half.
I have a feeling.
Right.
So maybe it also may be a 2-year grant.
They're only, you know, and I was notified in, I think here, it would have been November. So I can't imagine we wouldn't have, but like you said, it might just be a matter of allocating that money by June 30th.
Yep.
Anyway, if I see, if I get any additional information on that, I will let you know.
Yeah, so with that being said, I agree with you, Lisa. Why don't we shoot for, if everyone's in agreement, for the 16th of January? That way Andrew
It's time.
has time, because he's not, doesn't have to deal with the book club afterwards. And then we can do the trustee meeting and then the rectory meeting.
Yeah.
On the 16th, if that works for you.
And I will pull together these documents and get them out and email to everybody.
And maybe in the body of the email, just because not everybody's here, to say, this is where we started, you know, this is our like wish list at the time. At our next meeting, we really want to hone in on this list and kind of not necessarily finalize it, but pretty close to finalizing it, so that we can now present and try to start getting vendors to bid on, or, you know, the, whatever it's called, feasibility study.
Yep.
I'm just gonna check real quick. If we do.
When does that move from a working group to a committee?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And does that happen when we get funds?
Yeah, that's a great question.
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Throwing it out there is the question, because I know that was something we'd always talked about.
To change, or at least one would sunset, and then there'd be a pause, and then the other things actually became. That's a great question.
Okay.
No, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. Sorry. Gotta keep it in a monologue sometimes. Yep, no.
Who determines that?
It would be written in our bylaws, not ours, the town's. Yeah, on when certain things would be considered committee versus what it would be.
Open meeting laws, state open meeting laws also have some say there, so
True.
I think there's a question of whether additional people would be formally appointed. I think at this point, it's sort of a loose set of people, including, you know, elected officials and then other volunteers.
Mhm.
But I think as soon as there are official appointees, that's when it has to be an open meeting law like meeting,
Okay.
which in Mendon means it needs to be recorded as we're doing here, so by our town. That's a good question.
Yeah,
But I mean, I think it's never wrong to have it be the formal committee, like, I think it's so like. It seems like we're getting close to that point, that would, like, that would be the goal.
Right, yeah, I guess I don't, where is that line? You know what I mean,
Right.
when is, and I can look at the bylaws and see if there's anything in there about that. You know, is there a line in the sand when there's funds involved? You know, is that when it becomes, or?
Right.
I don't know, since we're getting the earmark.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that it's in the town bylaws, I don't know.
Start there at least.
The brain's going.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like Rolodex.
Like, the bylaws, right, usually it's like, I'm looking for a specific thing, and so I don't have a good sense of people in there. I'm surprised by who's in there. Like the earth removal. Like, there's like stuff about earth removal in the general bylaws, there's stuff in the general bylaws, it seems like it should be zoning. Probably vice versa.
That'll be a fun project someday.
Well,
well,
it's
actually
already,
going-
I was gonna say it's going on. I
Yeah.
remember seeing something about it.
There are, concurrent efforts for those.
Okay, so let's see, it says if you require costs already incurred dating back no earlier, spend the full amount of your earmark by 6/30/25. Think about it, spend the full amount of your earmark.
That we
That's
haven't
six.
even gotten yet.
30 and 25.
Woo, we got 6 months to spend 25K.
So let's see, it says.
That was that one, I apologize. Sorry, everybody.
Okay, it says the cost reimbursement invoice, receipts, proof of payment, and final report are due no later than June 30th, 2025.
25, that's,
Next June.
So that's-
That's
6
6
months.
It just doesn't seem, this was sent to me. Yeah, like the 20th of November.
they know how long it takes to do these projects, like.
I mean, I can reach out to her and find out exactly like how. Seems a little strange that their delay
Yeah,
Mm.
just shortens our time frame.
I wonder if we can argue that point of getting an extension based on that.
Yeah. It's a good question.
Yes, that money I don't have. I mean, I could, but it's not smart.
Right.
right.
Get in a lot of trouble that way.
Huh.
New version's trying.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You know, I might just reach out, I might just call her. And find out,
Totally,
yeah, why not?
sure.
Yeah, that's.
This is administered through, the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners. It's actually administered through the Massachusetts, Office of Travel and Tourism this time, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the.
And taking us on a trip?
The Executive Office of, Economic Development.
Okay,
So,
cool.
yeah. In any event, I'm just gonna call her,
I think you would have at least a full year to
expend the.
expend the,
When you received, not
Yeah, from when-
necessarily when.
right, from what you received, exactly.
So yeah, my earliest email from her, which said this, sent me the information was the 19th of November. You would think we would have time after June 30th. I'm calling her.
Awesome. Sorry,
No,
you got this.
yeah, I mean, seems a little, unless I'm not, maybe I'm misreading it. Maybe there's something.
I mean, it doesn't sound like you're misreading it, but
Cost reimbursement invoice, receipts / proof of payment and final report are due no later than June 30th, 2025. Note, you may file for the 50% reimbursement prior to June 30th, 2025, if you have spent the entire funding. Huh? Once all 3 items,
when do we get the second installment?
well, that's a great question.
It's
It's very.
No, I know, I-
This
you
whole
had an
email is
answer,
very
I knew you
convoluted.
didn't, but-
I mean, I can send it, if anybody wants to see it, I can send it to you.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
But I don't think we're gonna read it any differently than you.
Like,
So you have all
my
the
phone, they didn't update the date for last year.
You have that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird.
That's my hope, but,
I mean, it may have been some sort of form letter that they had planned on sending out at the time in the summer
Mhm.
when all of this was. So I think, weren't they supposed to have identified these things in the summer?
Yeah.
Like, we were supposed to-
Yeah,
Yeah, we
Because-
did a lot, August, yeah.
Yep.
August
Yeah,
is like the
because-
latest we were supposed to get, I thought.
Cause, what's his name, Brian Murray? Is that
Yeah.
his name?
Yeah.
I feel like he originally told you that it was like
It's one thing to have-
unofficial, but
It's one thing to have like 10 months, but only less than 6.
But we have been talking about this since the summer, that
Oh, yeah.
we thought it was almost
Yeah,
100%.
But it hasn't been concrete enough to actually
Spend
get, get the contract.
Right, that's why we haven't done anything,
Yeah.
right?
all right, well, I will call her.
And I guess I would also encourage you to work with Jeremy on
Yeah.
this also. I think he would be a really good resource and,
Yeah.
and also, I mean, it might be, useful to see how this fits into other town projects as well. So just having Jeremy moved in as much as possible.
Yeah. I don't know, it said expend the full amount of your earmark.
Jeremy also has recent experience with trying to help us, spend out the ARPA money. So like,
Sure.
I guess it can be done, and if that's what it comes down to.
And if, I don't know what a feasibility study costs, but I know the last one was right around 25, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So, I mean, maybe it's not that unrealistic that it's from a feasibility study point of view, that it's spent in before
Right.
June, but.
The part that alarmed me though is also the final report, which suggests that like, because contracting the study is one thing, but then to actually get
Right.
the study, I mean, we
Right,
don't know how long that will take.
correct.
yeah,
So that's,
yeah.
I mean, the final report, do they want it, like, how final do they want that
Right.
report to be?
It's gonna take at least a month to go out to bid,
Mhm.
Right.
pick a contractor, and then it's gonna take them at least a month or two at a minimum, I would think,
Depends on
to.
what else they have on their calendar.
Just randomly pick up our architect, like, hey, here's your job.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the strings attached. Are complicated.
Yeah.
Big string.
Yeah.
All right,
Anyway, sorry, I'm just reading through.
so should we move on?
We can.
Cardboard
Yeah.
boat race, do we have anything to add to that today?
My update, at least from the Coast Guard side, is I did hear back from the Master Chief, and he thought I was insane. And so, but he has at least, said he will pass on the message, and we're going to start a bigger conversation with some of the more senior folks within the district, so. He laughed, it was, and I think he needed it too, so it was a good thing.
So is this to be judges or what was?
Yes,
Yeah,
so
okay, sorry.
my high in the sky goal was to figure out how to get the district admiral to come out to be a judge.
Okay.
So, and because I mean, it's a boat race, it just
Mhm.
makes logical sense to me. But obviously, the said individual is responsible for a lot of things, so I recognize it may not be possible. But, I might know a couple people, so I figured
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt to ask. So yes, that was at the end of the boat race last year, my harebrained idea, I'm like, why don't we get it? So, but the other one is, and I think maybe we chat with your son, or we can reach out with them about helping run a little class.
Yes.
February,
we talked about.
Yeah. February, so I think perfect. So I think that'd be really, really cool,
Open to that.
yeah.
Did you set the date yet for the race itself?
No, actually, I saw Dan, yesterday. I know John Erickson had, not John, how do you remember? John Dudley, yeah, sorry. Had mentioned something about, well, why don't we look at a weekend? I just don't know about a weekend in the summer. I think that everybody has a lot of, not responsibility, but a lot of things going.
Yeah,
And I think the weekend would be problematic. But I did mention, or I did say to him, I would put it out there for everybody to consider. I just don't know myself if that would work real well. But no, we haven't come up with a specific date yet. I did talk to Shane, I'm gonna ask her again. I want to make sure there's no conflict with another event in town.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
that's what we were talking about,
Yeah.
that calendar idea.
Right, exactly. I think she told me it was gonna be in some of the conflict, but, I used to like
She's a lot,
that,
right?
yeah, I used to like that it was on like the third Thursday of July. That's usually when it was. And then there was an issue with Parks being able to do it on the Thursday or Dan being able to be around at that time, so we moved it. I still personally like later in the month of July, like on a Thursday, but you know, I'm not committed to it. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be good to try to get the date sooner than later. On Friday advertising.
So we're sinking.
Yeah, the 25th a Friday, so it wouldn't,
How about you do the 25th anniversary on the
On the
25th?
and it's my birthday, so we
Aw.
can have a birthday cake. But yeah, Friday night, I think would be also
Yeah,
difficult.
does anybody have any, yeah, that's what I was gonna ask, is what
I don't.
what day of the week do you like?
Oh, the 4th of July. Oh, we will not get the Coast Guard Admiral for the 4th of July. No, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that third Thursday idea.
I don't either.
And if we get
Yeah,
the idea out there sooner, we get more pull on who gets the date for what, you know? It's kind of like the whole, I put my flag there first. That's
I
not-
think the thing we'll do is, I can reconnect with Dan and find out, 'cause I know, that, like, for whatever reason, Thursday was problematic at one point, and Tuesday was the better day. I don't even mind if it was the third week of the month, July, Tuesday, you know.
Sure.
I don't like having,
17th is the third
Yeah.
Thursday of July. I feel like that's, everybody's back from their 4th of July trips, and it's before they've gone on their last August end of summer trips.
Yep.
But that's, I feel like that's.
since my issue is, I don't wanna do it in August, because I feel like there's just too many
Too much going on.
conflicts.
Yeah.
People's summer vacation schedules.
Now, the 4th Tuesday of the month, or by Thursday is the 24th of July. Probably even the 17th or the 24th would be, would
Right.
work.
Okay,
I think
if I was just the Thursday,
The Thursday, yeah.
there's 5 Thursdays in July.
There are.
let me talk to Tara too, because she had talked to Dan early on about the Tuesday.
Right. I'm like, do we have any commitments in
Oh,
July? He said, nope.
Between her and myself and Dan, we can, I think that's where we start.
Cool.
And, see if we can figure that out soon. Like within the next couple of weeks. But I would like to get it squared away, because then we can start to propose.
All around town, so nobody else plans anything for that night.
Yes.
Well, yeah, earlier you do it,
Right.
earlier it's on the schedule, and then people don't try to put something else up.
Right.
So if Grayson runs a boat building type class, are we gonna actually build boats at that time, or is that more of a discussion?
So,
What do we, because February might be too early to start building.
because where you're gonna put a boat if you're,
Right, we're not, the library can't store them.
no.
And I can't see people going home and storing them till July. You know, we could have a
So,
conversation maybe.
What if it was a session, what if it was like, we meet in February with whoever might be interested, we talk about, you know, like, we have some cardboard there, so people are like learning maybe some basics of doing it or whatever, but we're not necessarily everybody building individual boats, but maybe we set up another, like, once a month, and then as it gets closer, I don't know. Is that doable, do you think, or will that be too much of a commitment? I don't know.
I feel like you're better off starting that conversation in May. May, like, and then do it May, have another meeting in June, and then maybe another one in July. Like the second Tuesday or the second
Okay.
week in July, or a week or 2 weeks before. So you start them thinking maybe May is strategizing on themes, size, people.
Yeah,
And then June is start to compile your building materials and start theorizing on how to build it. Maybe
Yeah.
the actual build one is in June.
yeah,
And then the last one in July is final touches, final whatever on your
Any rivals?
layer rival.
well, I was gonna say, we'll have 5 people in May, maybe 8 people in June, and like
42.
42 in July. But no, but that's not a bad idea.
Make it like a series.
February might be too
You can
early.
join whenever you want, you obviously, if you missed May and you wanna come in June, who cares? Come on in June.
Right,
But, kind of, cause I think February is too early, and not that
no, you're
you
right.
do it, but someone's gonna wanna store it. I don't wanna store one from February to July.
Right.
I wouldn't be able to either.
Right. But if we, we start in May, and May is more like tips and tricks and, just starting the discussions of how many people you're gonna put in your boat, how big do you want it to be? If you're gonna have 6 people in your boat, you need to start thinking logistically, how are you gonna keep a boat up with 6 people in it?
Right,
And start to have those conversations in May, and then we start maybe building in June, because storing it from June to July,
That's not bad.
it's not as terrible,
Sure.
Right.
most people can figure that out. Mine usually is in my living room, so I really don't want it in my living room. Cause that's where Grayson builds it. So, all
That makes sense. I think that's what.
right. So why don't we?
now, do we let people be there responsible for their own cardboard, like getting their own cardboard?
Mhm.
Yeah,
I don't know that we want to be.
No.
Cardboard dealers.
No.
May is a good time to start talking about where to get it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Where to get it, like, how to store it.
Or whatever,
Right,
because
what kind of
that's
tape?
expensive,
Yep.
certainly,
Yeah.
yeah, library couldn't provide.
No, no, the library would definitely not supply all this supplies.
But we can supply someone to be around, and I'm happy to volunteer, obviously. Oddly love this thing, to help with rules. So like
Yeah.
we talk about,
Yeah.
we have to adhere to certain rules, so we can be like, all right, well, while we're talking engineering, don't forget you have to, you can't do this for that.
Right.
because,
Right.
Sure.
Right, there's always someone who paints the whole thing.
Yeah, and last year it really wasn't bad, like we
No.
picked
No.
every single one up, there was
yeah,
very few that we went.
I mean, the years have been
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the year with.
The senior.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it was all styrofoam.
Oh, it was the one year that they all used those sonotubes.
The soda.
Yeah.
In the bottom of the
Yeah.
boat, and it wasn't just like one boat, it
Yeah.
was
Sure.
8
Yeah.
to 10.
Yeah.
We can then kind of bring it all together, so it's a
Yeah.
nice, fair competition.
Yeah, exactly.
Because bragging rights, I mean. That's enough.
All right, so I can start working on that kind of series.
If we nail a date down, I will email everybody. Hopefully soon.
All right. Are there any topics we haven't anticipated 48 hours / the 2 weeks ago when I? So that I didn't forget.
None
All right, and we set the next meeting for January 16th.
Yeah.
Okay, make sure everybody's got that,
With the
the rectory
rectory to
afterwards.
follow.
Yeah.
And that way, when he sends out that email with what we have going on so far with the rectory, it'll remind people maybe like haven't been to some of the more recent rectory working group meetings. I mean, we kind of slacked off a little bit anyways,
Mm.
but, and we had a big group when we started.
Yeah.
So it would be nice that we could get it out to whoever, I don't even
Right.
remember who,
Right.
I've got that email. I got that.
you have who's there.
Oh, the initial?
Mhm.
Yeah, and I have the people I've been sending it to, but I don't know if I missed somebody along the way.
I haven't paid attention to who you're sending it to, so, but I'm sure you haven't, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I continued to send it to, Jane and to Dan, just to copy them.
Yeah,
Dylan also.
Dylan.
Yeah, that was initially, but then I just it
Yeah.
didn't really work out, so I hadn't been sending.
Okay.
Not that
We
I
could try
that I
again.
couldn't do that. yeah.
Dylan has a new baby.
Oh, awesome.
That makes it more challenging.
Yes.
Alright.
I'll present a motion to adjourn. No other business.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. It's funny, as we were talking, oh, it's,
Oops, hold on.
it's still done, hold on.
It's